But first, thank you so much for joining us here on your 5 News at noon. I'm Tiffany Lee. We start with breaking news in the case against captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Just minutes ago, both pleaded not guilty in a New York federal courthouse. They're facing federal drug charges. Tight security surrounded the courthouse as Maduro and his wife were driven from a Brooklyn jail. U.S. forces captured the couple in Caracas early on Saturday. The indictment alleges Maduro and others partnered distributing cocaine to the U.S. to benefit themselves.
Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil.
Authorities say that Maduro could face life in prison if convicted. Well, here's a statement Maduro said to the judge in this morning's arraignment. Quote, "I'm innocent. I'm not guilty of anything mentioned. I'm a decent man." We'll, of course, follow any of the developments throughout the day. Now let's go ahead and send things over to Joshua for a first look at your forecast.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful but warm day out there. And the reason the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer today is because of that southerly flow. You've heard us mention it a lot the last couple of weeks. Well, when you have those wind gusts out of the south up to 30 miles an hour, occasionally that helps get those temperatures warmer a little bit quicker than it has in the previous days. So right now, 62, mostly sunny, pretty breezy northwest Arkansas. Not as bad in some portions of the River Valley. Still some wind gusts up to 10 to 20 miles an hour will be possible. Gusts up to 30 in northwest Arkansas. So it's a little bit breezy in some locations, but we also have these warm temperatures. So right now at noon, we got the 60s on the board, some 50s in the River Valley at the moment, but give it time, it'll quickly warm up as we head throughout the rest of the day today. And then you can see maybe a couple of clouds start to roll in later on, but other than that, it's going to be a rather pleasant day across the area. Mid-upper 60s northwest Arkansas. And then in the River Valley, we could even see a couple of upper 60s, lower 70s. In fact, it actually wouldn't surprise me if we saw maybe a couple lower 70s, maybe in portions of northwest Arkansas as well. So got a warm day ahead. The headline showing, yeah, we got that warm up on the way. There are some rain chances and a little bit of a cool down on the way. We'll have all those details coming up, and stick around for all that.
All right, thanks for that, Joshua. Well, President Trump insists that the U.S. can fix Venezuela after American soldiers captured the president, Nicolas Maduro, and brought him to the U.S. to face criminal charges. Aaron Navarro has more details from the White House.
Venezuela's Supreme Court has appointed Vice President Delcy Rodriguez acting president of the country.
We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in, and don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
President Trump said he has not personally spoken with Rodriguez yet, but told The Atlantic if she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price.
I don't have to tell you. I just say that she will face a situation probably worse than Maduro, because, you know, Maduro gave up immediately.
Rodriguez said she's inviting the U.S. to work with her, but President Trump has not ruled out U.S. forces on the ground.
What we should see in the coming days are the outlines of a clear strategy, a strategy of coercive diplomacy. But I'll tell you, Gail, that's not easy to do. It may be something bigger.
Trump administration officials are briefing some members of Congress today about the Venezuela operation, even as some are questioning the president's legal authority to carry out the raid.
I believe it's an illegal action because we're not supposed to be at war without a vote of Congress. They need to tell us why it's a smart thing to do.
Russia and China, Venezuelan allies, accused the U.S. of violating international law. The UN Security Council convened the meeting for today. The meeting comes as Trump Sunday night threatened action against Colombia and reiterated his interest in the U.S. taking control of Greenland. Aaron Navarro, CBS News, the White House.
Well, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton is weighing in on what comes next for Venezuela, saying he hopes the country moves toward a pro-American path that brings what he calls stability, order, and prosperity for the country.
Venezuela has a long history of stable, orderly government that was friendly to the United States. We are their #1 customer for oil, and we work together to help build prosperity and stability in our own backyard. I hope that we can do that again with the future government in Venezuela.
Well, locally, demonstrators voiced their opposition this weekend in Fayetteville. Members of the Northwest Arkansas chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America gathered along College Avenue holding signs demanding an end to U.S. involvement in Venezuela. Organizers say the rally was quickly organized after the news broke.
We're here, we see Venezuela, and we want to draw attention to that so we can ask our representatives and ask Congress to halt this and to return the president of Venezuela to Venezuela.
Protesters say that their goal is to press lawmakers to oppose any further military action. Well, new at noon, deputies with the Sequoyah County Sheriff's Office are investigating a shooting they say happened near the Sequoyah Little Farms area. Investigators say that it happened around 5 this morning. One woman was taken to a hospital with minor injuries. Sequoyah County deputies and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation are on scene, interviewing witnesses and collecting evidence. Investigators say the incident appears isolated and there is no threat to the public. The investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, the search for a missing man from Iowa continues in Johnson County. A car linked to Nicholas Collins was recovered by authorities last Thursday. It was found abandoned with no license plates on County Road 5261 in Oark. Johnson County Sheriff Tom Hughes told us on Friday multiple agencies were getting involved in the search. Since the car was found on the Newton-Johnson County line, the majority of the search was likely going to be in Newton County. Well, the search is underway for a suspect in a shooting in Johnson County over the weekend. Sheriff Tom Hughes confirms a man was shot on January 3rd. Law enforcement has named a suspect, but is waiting for a warrant to release more details. The victim's identity and condition are still unknown. The sheriff's office is following leads, but has not shared additional information. Investigators expect to release more details once a warrant is issued. You can stay with us here at 5 News for any updates on the case. Well, now to an update on the Fort Smith shooting that left 2 people dead on New Year's Day. Police in Fort Smith say that evidence indicates the 2 people killed were the only ones involved in the incident. Police responded to the 2800 block of Independence Street. The person who called police said that 2 people were fighting inside and he heard a loud bang. Police say that they found 49-year-old Mark Bell and 47-year-old D'Evelyn Bell dead with gunshot wounds. A handgun was recovered at the scene, and police say that the investigation remains ongoing. Well, new cameras in Arkansas work zones can now detect handheld phone use in addition to speeding. The cameras alert officers down the road who can then issue warnings or citations. But an officer must be present to enforce the law. Drivers will see signs notifying them when entering work zones. RDOT says that the cameras have already helped reduce work zone crashes by 25% or more. They will go into effect starting mid-January, giving officers new tools to keep work zones safer. Well, with the new year comes newly expanded eligibility for Arkansans to open ABLE accounts. The change allows anyone whose disability began before the age of 46 to qualify. The age limit was previously 26, though the ABLE account, people with disabilities, they can save for everyday needs and basic living expenses without affecting federal benefits like SSI and Medicaid. Both the growth in the accounts and the withdrawals for qualified expenses may be tax-free at both the state and federal level. Arkansans may also receive a state income tax deduction for contributions. Applications for federal funds to help with energy costs for low-income families in Arkansas begins today. LIHEAP is resuming its winter heating program for 2026. Funds will help applicants pay for energy bills for a couple of months, depending on which level of assistance you require. Requirements can be found on our website, which is 5newsonline.com. And tomorrow, voters will decide which Republican candidate will be considered for Arkansas Senate District 26 seat in the special election this March. The seat has been vacant since Senator Gary Stubblefield's passing back in September. 5 Republicans are running in the primary election. 1 independent is also running for the position. After a legal battle in Pulaski County, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders moved up the special election date to March 3rd. Early voting for the primary continues today. And if you want to find a list of voting sites, just head to our website, which is 5newsonline.com.